I never thought I'd get so caught up in drawing frogs. It's become sort of an obsession lately, a compulsion. I think when everyone else is having their dry January to detox from all of the alcoholic merriment of the season, I just might be working on drying out from drawing frogs. I've enjoyed the company of these guys over the past few days. I like how tiny changes in the eyes and mouth signal vastly different emotions. If I'd set myself a challenge to draw a frog that is out for revenge, I swear I couldn't have done it. But in making dozens of variations, they've somehow grown personalities. Sneaky, conniving, scared, constipated, self-satisfied, and even one looks like he's ready to flirt. I've made some bears too, because there are a few of my friends and family that might read a little too much into being sent an angry frog or sad frog. See, if I received an original piece of art that looks like it's ready to poison my drink, my first thought would be, hey, an original piece of art. And then I would think, how is it possible for a frog to convey this emotion? But not everybody is like me, so I made some bears. I don't often send holiday cards out, and I can't really say why, but I love receiving them, and for sure I want to stay on the list of those who are diligent and predictable with their cards. Also, I was reading this wonderful book that I recently received, Mark Harold's workbook. Mark Harold apparently makes a special lino cut and prints A2 size cards for his friends and family. Wow, what does one have to do to get on his holiday card list? A2, for my fellow Americans, is approximately 17 by 23 inches. It's enormous. And here's a little bit more about his book, which is listed in the description below. I had to start somewhere, and most definitely it had to be smaller than A2. I had several scraps from my sketchbook making project just sitting on the side of my desk, so I put them to use, along with some sketches that I made from an Emma Carlisle Patreon session called Fast Frogs. I took those scraps and folded them over with my bone folder and just tore the edges. Something was calling me to not cut them, to create that rough edge, as the drawings themselves would be rough and experimental. Something interesting happens for me when I get involved in a project like this. I mean, repeated drawing of the same subject on the same paper with the same color palette. Obviously, I'm still making changes to each piece, but by taking some elements off the table, some decisions off the table, I can explore other things, like frog expressions or different color combinations. There are slight variations in tonal values from piece to piece. Like you can see how sometimes the lily pad that they're sitting on is a darker tone, and sometimes it's lighter, and sometimes the frog's body is lighter, and sometimes it's a bit darker. It's really satisfying for me to look at them together and see what these effects bring up for me. Truth be told, now that I've made all of my froggy friends, I'm having a hard time letting them go. It's much easier to send out the bears. So anyway, that's why I had to make this video, so I can send the frogs out, but still have a way to visit them from time to time. For me, the act of making art is all about curiosity. I hear people speak of having an idea in their head that they want to get down on paper or canvas or whatever. And it always makes me wonder, like, why am I not like that? My process is more like I see something and I get curious about it. If the subject captures me, I keep coming back to it. Whatever I make was never in my imagination before. I don't actually see my work until after I've made it. Interestingly, for me anyway, this is the complete opposite of how I show up in my architectural projects. I'm an architect, by the way. Mostly I work on residential houses, but lately I've been working on homeschooling my kids. It's a totally different story. But here's what I've been thinking about. By the time I've completed the design of a space, most often houses, I already know how every space will look and feel. The only surprise I find when I visit the construction site is what the view from the upper level rooms is like. Often my clients say, "Oh, this space, it has so much light, and look at how cozy this nook is." And I say, "Yeah, I've been living in your house for a few months before it was actually built, so I know how the spaces feel on the inside." But with my art, I don't know how it's going to be until the line goes down. So now I'm curious, how do you show up for your art? Do you start with an idea that you want to get down on paper? Do you start with curiosity, like how I do? Or do you have a completely different process? Have you ever gotten stuck on a subject, compulsively drawing the same thing over and over? And perhaps the most important question of all is, what would you think if you received an angry frog for a holiday card? So now I need to get busy addressing some envelopes and sending out these frogs to their potentially bewildered recipients. I thought you might like to know the color palette that I used. I'm not going to list each color, but most of these are Neocolor 2 crayons that are water soluble. There's a gelato in there, and there's the luminance pencils. So I wish you a very happy new year, dear watchers and subscribers and people dropping in to get some inspiration. I hope you found something here, and I wish you a very, very happy 2024. Hopefully, in the near future, I will come up with something other than frogs, like perhaps some street scenes from Alberta Street that I've been filming and trying to bring into my studio. Or maybe some more of the houses around Alameda neighborhood. Whatever it is, I'll catch you in the next one.